to make sure that they're doing the beneficial things that help them as it relates to the underlying, especially with the underlying chronic ailment clients. You tend to drive that home for them to let them understand that, hey, you're in a situation where you're limited. But you're limited doesn't mean that you can't do anything at all. You're right, so you introduce them to the things that you can do. Can shouldn't be the word that you use. You also want to make it a psychological talk, whereas they buy into what you're saying. And once they buy into what you're saying, you show them what they need to do, keep them with the healthy foods, make the healthy right choices, and even if they want to, incentives. On a Friday, hey, say it's okay to have this, right? And this would in turn allow them to encourage them to continue exactly what they need to do to stay healthy.
The issue that I have though is healthy foods are usually unaffordable foods. What are some of the examples of affordable foods that people can?
And that's my forte, right? So nutrition, like I would have made mention, I'm gonna break down what's important as it relates to macros, right? You have carbohydrates, you have fats, and you have proteins, right? And I talked to my friend, and I'm just gonna give an example for a fact. He buys lunch, 2 diet, breakfast and lunch every day. That's about $25 to $26. I also educate him on a pack of chicken breast, being about $6, $7. I still have change for a pack of jasmine rice, which is about what, $5.26. So I'm at what, $11? He's still at $26. And I can easily pick up a case of green beans, broccoli, asparagus, and asparagus is only running me for like $4.99 because I was to the grocery store last night. And then within itself, that's only $15. And this meal, what I just bought for $15 at the food store, allows me to eat 4 times, right? Whereas I'm spending $26 and I'm only getting 2 meals. And I'm not even certain what those meals encompass. You know what I'm saying? So it's a give and take. I tell people that it relates to healthy eating, there's going to be some give and take as it runs. But at the end of the day, you're looking for results. And results mean that you have to do the right thing. And doing the right thing means you have to eat healthy in order to get the improvement in life. Yes, sir?
Now, this is the beginning of the year. And a whole lot of people would have made some sort of resolution that they're going to eat right, exercise, learn something new. But at the 3rd week in January, they would have fallen off and going back to what they normally do. How would you suggest that they use these New Year's resolutions to become a habit? How do you develop that habit? Somebody like yourself who is developed as you are, that's a habit. How would you suggest, what would you suggest to somebody who is trying to develop some healthy habits? What would you suggest a way of doing that?
So there are many suggestions, but first and foremost, the most key thing that you said is they just want to do a resolution, but they never. Did you ask them if they bought into this resolution? And by buying into a resolution, that means prior planning. Prior planning prevents poor performance, right? So they have to first set out a plan, just like a whiteboard, brainstorming, just like you write your things for that new year up. And you keep yourself accountable for what you said you're gonna do. And this is where I come into play as a coach. I hold you accountable and responsible for the decisions that you make. And everybody think that they can do this on their own. Everybody needs to help me as it relates to wellness and exercising. You always surround yourself with a circle that actually is doing this. Because if you don't have that support, you're gonna fail in the first week. Like you said, 3 weeks on, and said the first week, it's hard, right? And habits aren't breaking unless it's that 21-day cycle. But if you can commit and actually see your way through, and people need to understand, as much as we say we are gonna do something, unless you decide to make that intentional and to make that a purpose, then you're never gonna do that thing or accomplish that thing that you wanna do.
I noticed you mentioned jasmine rice. What is the difference between jasmine rice and regular pop rice?
Okay, so To be honest with you, that's a whole rice myth as it relates to when they say brown rice is healthier than white rice. And in actuality, the rice just bleach, right? So it's just white. It still holds the same components. There might be one-off nutritional facts as it relates to it as well, because with you bleaching, you go and you introduce sugars, you introduce more sodium. But at the end of the day, hand in hand, we hold them together, they're really close. I promote jasmine rice because I feel like it's more of a cleaner carbohydrate per se. Not saying that it's better, but psychologically I feel that it is. You understand what I'm saying? So I normally sell that to my clients. Like I said before, it's all based on the three macros that we have: the fats, the carbohydrates, and the proteins. And you have clean protein, you have the chicken breast, you have the ground sirloin, you have the flank steak. And these are the options that you can choose rather than choosing the chicken thigh or choosing the T-bone steak with all the fat, you know what I'm saying? So it's all choices. And we need to be educated in making those correct choices and moving forward as it relates to buying food and I think that's what we're missing as it relates to the whole platform that we have. And I think that this is a good idea, Mr. Minister, that the platform moving forward, we actually introduce this globally to our country. I think that we fall short as it relates to making this known or making this a priority as it relates to health. I think there was a lot of opportunities given as it relates to when the pandemic first started. The initiative is being pushed to move towards more wellness education, and allowing people to understand exactly what they can do on a physical wellness level, rather than just leaning towards the medical aspect and still going back to doing the same things that we did before. You understand me? Even if I decide to do that thing that I decided to do medically, I still want to be able to understand that I still have my own, this is my own time and my own choice and my own understanding to get healthy for myself, right? And I think that these are the platforms, and thank you again that you gave this opportunity. We need to continue to encourage everybody to just get healthy. And people think that it's a gym membership or they can't afford it, or it's a food camp that they can't afford. There are free classes, free platforms. You have YouTube, there's no excuse. You have YouTube that shows you how to work out. You have IG that shows you how to work out. These things are accessible to us. Take advantage of the technology.
Thank you for your honesty with the rice.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Any other questions at the moment? And normally I have my PowerPoint presentation. Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, for some people, we want to be healthy, we want to have that nice lifestyle, and we want to look good and feel good, but it costs you. And like you said earlier, okay, fine, you can clean glass. But to be honest, many of us were cleaning houses all our lives and cutting rations, and we don't look like you.
So this is the.
Do we have to get a trailer?
And so what I'm gonna say, no, you don't. And me, as a comparison to what healthy or wellness should look like, it's a terrible example, right? Because people tend to lean toward wellness, fitness being a look. But honestly, there are a lot of good-looking people that are very unhealthy.
I do.
And that's internally, right? So you need to take care of yourself from the internal aspect. This is where I segue and said, always go and have a physical, always go to see a doctor. Even within itself, if you want to extend it, even see a therapist, right? Because that's also mental health. We have to also take care of that aspect because the brain is a muscle as well, right? So when you look at me and you say, boy, I can't get like this, at certain points there was a time when I look at another person and I gauge myself and say, I can never look like that. And see, that's the wrong idea to approach. When you come to wellness, right? So I tend to take or stray away from the physical aspect. I feel like fitness is a derivative of health and wellness, right? But it's not the sole focus of wellness, right? Being healthy is just taking care of yourself from a holistic approach, from a physical approach, and from a mental aspect, even from an emotional aspect, right? You have to put all these things into play, and you also have to come from a spiritual aspect. We tend to take that out of the equation.
Yeah.
We tend to take that out of the equation as well. So these are the things in a conglomerate team, like I said, it's a team activity, right? And you being by yourself and trying to figure this thing out for yourself is not always a good idea. So seek your education, seek knowledge, and you can never go wrong, right? Like I said, I'm not, yeah, I'm not selling the fact that trainers. Yeah, I'm not selling the fact that I'm a trainer or you should get trained. That's not it at all. I'm an advocate of health and wellness, right? I took on this opportunity to educate others of the importance of wellness. I've never taught fitness in my life. I've never told nobody that you can lift a car. I've never told nobody that you can lift. You understand me? These are things that come into play as it goes on as it relates to writing you a plan. But as far as what I do or what I represent is definitely health. Yes. You're welcome. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am?
How important is like retraining your, like workout? Should, like, if you want to lose weight, should you do cardio or should you?
That's a good question. Again, weight training is very important. If you're a novice and someone tells you you need to lose weight, they normally tell you, oh, you need to do a lot of cardio. That's a myth. That's definitely not true, right? Cardio can only do so much and only carry so far, but you still need to hold a certain tone to the body. You still need to hold a certain skeleton structure to the body. And weight training allows you to strengthen your bones. Weight training allows you to burn fat without even having to lose excess amount of muscles. Weightlifting even increases strength. And like I said before, weightlifting increases energy. Weightlifting releases endorphins that make you happy. Cardio, I don't really like cardio that much because it's boring, but it also goes hand in hand as it relates to a regimen, of a perfect regimen of losing weight, or not even losing weight. Some people tend to take fitness as you just losing weight, but it's a transformation, right? And definitely when it comes to losing weight, you want to go into a caloric deficit. See, that also comes with the implication of nutrition. And I think that what we're doing a lot of right now is just telling people to work out, but we're not explaining to them what they need to put in their body, what the science is behind losing weight or even transformation. Because you have different body types. I can't compare me to you, I can't compare him to me. You have to have an understanding of what body type you are, ecto, meso, you understand me? And these things come with the learning of your own body. I tell you, once you understand your own body, hands down, you can say, man, I gotta eat this cake today, but tomorrow I can get my fitness into my macros. You understand? Because now you understand. And you would see yourself, see the whole fitness thing in a different light and apply it differently. Some people think this is just about, like, again, physical, but it's not. It's definitely not. Yes, ma'am?
I have a question. It relates to eating habits and times that you eat. And according to level in the mornings, I eat like a king. Lunchtime, a little lighter, and then at dinner time, I'm walking. Little tea, probably a little cookie or something like that. Is that healthy?
No, ma'am. Okay, so like I would have said, when I alluded to before, I said balanced diet. So the whole king, proper, whatever, I mean, yeah, that's good, standardized if that's what you want to do. But as it relates to a healthy choice, make your meal all balanced. Make yourself educated on knowing how much calories you put out within a day, and then add those calories ground-wise to your diet as it relates to your breakfast, as it relates to your lunch and your dinner. I normally push a 4-meal plan for my clients because if I was to have you eat more small meals, your metabolism would tend to rev up, and it will exactly get you to do what it needs to do to burn more fat. Right? I don't believe in what's the diet keto. I don't believe in intermittent fasting. I don't believe in low carbs. Because it's not healthy, it's not sustainable. If I was to tell you take away carbs on your diet and just eat fats, that isn't healthy and that's not sustainable because carbohydrates provide you with energy. Right? Fat can only provide you with so much energy. Carbohydrates come with such a pack of energy that that's the first thing to burn out of your body when you eat. In actuality, protein is the last, right? And protein actually provides you with nitrogen as well, right? To get the flow of the blood, the blood flow inside the muscles. So that's something you learned today, right? You can't tell me I teach you nothing. But at the end of the day, I slowly pushed you actually finding another way of trying to curb your diet and just eat meals that actually, I'll teach you this. A cupful is a carb, this thumb here is a fat, and this hand here is a protein. Cup, carb, thumb, fat, hand, protein. All fist protein, pardon? Alright, so like if it can't fit in your hand carb-wise, don't eat it. If it ain't fit into this fat ratio, it's too much.
Okay, let's do the cheat terms.
Pardon?
Let's do the cheat terms of the
That's measure. Alright, so that's me telling you how to measure out without actually having to use a measuring cup.
I understand what I'm saying, like, if I want to do a real extra, and still
You know, so if you have 2 carbs, try to fit on 2 carbs in the cup of your palm. If you got more than you give me the floor. But I'm telling you it works, you know, and then it's just being educated on how you eat. Right?
and exercise must be in those 4 meals that you recommend.
In actuality, once your diet is within the caloric deficit that you want it to be in, you're going to still see a change in the body. Again, don't take exercise as a stay-all, end-all regarding staying healthy. Staying healthy literally starts with nutrition to me. And once you get your nutrition down pat, then you start to implement movements, you start to implement things that are only going to assist in what you're already doing as it relates to your diet. Alright, so walking, if it complements diet. Swimming complements diet. You ever see a swimmer body? Swimmers don't go inside the gym, per se, but they have a body of a swimmer, and they look pretty good. They look pretty healthy, so that's based on their diet. And sports, you realize that the people who are performing high in sports take care of their body. Case in point, LeBron James, he has a nutritionist. He has a dietitian. And these are the things that go hand in hand with training that makes him at 38 still one of the best basketball players in the league. Right? Take care of yourself. That's it. Good. I think that's... Oh, wait, hold on.
I would ask him for a challenge, and he has to give me 5 push-ups so I can do it when I get home. So I can look like him at our next meeting. Let's go, let's take the photos. What? All right. Very good. There's your phone. There's your phone. Thank you so much. And Taran just got a call at 5 o'clock and he was able to come and present to us this evening. Thank you so much, Taran. Taran, don't leave. I've got something for you in the line of nutrition. So don't leave. Our next presenter, we're looking at ways that we can be better, healthier in 2023. Our next presenter is one of us. He is our first vice chair, and he's coming on to speak on food security, healthy eating. And so, hopefully, Omega, you'll get it this time. You didn't get it the first time, you'll get it the second time. So let's hear it for our Jamaican leaders.
As we're all aware, it's during the height of the pandemic. As we're all aware, it's during the height of the pandemic that Eden Farms was officially launched as a vehicle to help remedy the malady of supply shortages and high costs of certain types of vegetables. In response to tremendous local demand and through rapid advances in technology, Eden Farms has partnered with 80-acre farms to deliver proven farms at scale in the Bahamas, capable of servicing the entire Caribbean marketplace. Eden Farms is a hydroponic container farming system, and
the chairman just gave me a time limit, so let me get going. Good evening all. Of course, to our Member of Parliament, Killarney, the Honorable Hubert Minnis, Association Chairman Selene Gomez, Killarney Association Executives, National Party Officers, MCMs, former Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am humbled and honored to have been asked to speak on a very important topic that is becoming more and more urgent, and that is food security in the Bahamas. Now, for many years, even in the most recent months, we have heard this term food security thrown around, and many may ask, what is food security? Well, if you went to the food store and have not noticed anything different while you were checking out at the cashier, then maybe this doesn't apply to you. But for most of us, we have all seen how little our dollar stretches at the cashier at the food stores. So what does this have to do with food security in the Bahamas? Well, by definition, food security is reliable access to a sufficient quantity of affordable, nutritious food. I'm going to break that definition down throughout my presentation. Right now, we can all argue that food is becoming less affordable in the Bahamas. We can also agree that food is not as nutritious as it should, leading to more health issues among our people. Food is not as accessible as it should be, and then the quantity and the quality of our food is decreasing. So why is this happening? Well, it's simple. We are a population of consumers. We import, but we don't export much. We consume, but we don't grow much. And a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. Food security, to me, is national security. In 2020, during the COVID pandemic, it showed us the vulnerability in our food supply chain in the Bahamas. Who remembers shopping in the early days of the pandemic? Do you remember how chaotic grocery lines were? Do you remember looking on the shelves and realizing what you wanted was probably gone, and what was off the shelves was probably gone for a few months? Have you ever realized that should the countries that we depend on for food decide to stop servicing our import needs for whatever reason, that the Bahamas can face food insecurity? The reality is the pandemic showed us that no matter what is going on around us, we must have food, water, air, and shelter to survive. Food security is national security, and you are only as good as what you put in you. Which leads me to my next point. How nutritious is our food? I know my friend was talking a lot about nutrition, so let's just get into how nutritious really is our food, because he was on track. Imagine walking into Super Value and you pick what you think is freshly harvested lettuce, a few juicy organic strawberries, a bunch of fragrant basil, and some ripe FNM red tomatoes. All crops that could have been harvested locally. But sadly, most of the produce that you see in the stores aren't harvested locally. In fact, they lack the nutritional value as well. That head of lettuce that I talked about that you're looking at in your grocery store, that was actually harvested 25 days ago in California. It then traveled over 1,000 miles before it got to tropical shipping in Florida. After sitting on the dock for a few days, that head of lettuce was then transported from Florida to the Nassau port, from the Nassau port into Cisco, and eventually trucked to the local food store. And then there's you. walking into Super Value with a saying in your head, new year, new me, I'm eating healthy this year. But are you truly eating healthy? The reality is, in that 25 days of transport, 45% of the nutritional value of that lettuce is gone. Those organic strawberries, unfortunately, they were filled with pesticides because they needed to grow in a large-scale farm in the US. And the tomatoes, as FNM red as that tomato looks, that was actually picked DNA green because it was ripe. It was picked before it was ripe. And it was shipped for durability versus taste. It needed to survive the transport to get to us. The nutritional value has diminished, and if you did not wash that tomato, you could be consuming the chemicals that was used on that farm in the United States. These are the products that we are not just importing in our country, but we are consuming in our bodies. We have no control over the quality of our food, and now little control over the price point. Just ask the grocers who have been fighting with the government over the past couple of weeks. In order for us to make sizable steps toward food security, we need more farmers. We need to grow more food. We need to eat healthier. We need to buy Bahamian, and we need to urgently increase our growing capacity as a country. So why isn't agriculture what it needs to be? Unfortunately, we still import $1 billion of food every year. Some may argue, well, the reason for that is our soil quality makes it hard to grow, our water supply makes it hard to grow, our climate makes it hard to grow, access to arable land and funding, not to mention hurricanes that wipe out entire harvests. These are all issues that are compounding the reason that the Bahamas has not seen national food security. Because of this, we need new generation of farmers. There are fewer farmers today than there was 40 or 50 years ago. Climate change and Mother Nature is so unpredictable that it leaves our Bahamian farmers struggling every year. I believe that there's a better way, but we need to embrace technology. In the heart of the airport industrial park, there are 3 unassuming containers. In those 40-foot containers, as conspicuous as they look, collectively equate to over 15 acres of farmland in 3 shipping containers. Each container equates to 5 acres each. At just 320 square feet, we can grow up to 10,000 heads of lettuce on a weekly basis. We use vertical hydroponic technology to grow food on a commercial scale to support our communities with fresh produce. We can grow 365 days out of the year, which means a more consistent, locally grown crop being produced, and we only use 5 gallons of water on a daily basis. In these containers is an operating system that controls the exact amount of carbon dioxide, water, light, climate, temperature. But why do we grow this way? It's the reason. The environment for growing in traditional farming in the Bahamas has not been conducive. So we've sheltered away the elements. We can deploy a farm anywhere. There's no such thing as a food desert, and we have a controlled environment. A recent UN study revealed that many Bahamians have been forced to eat less or skip meals in 2022 due to inflation. 1 in 4 Bahamians have had to skip a meal, meaning that someone on this front row had to skip a meal. Anyway, though. Now the world's food system has been hit with the perfect storm. You have COVID-19, but you also have the war in Ukraine. And why does that impact us? Well, there are 10 major companies that are major exporters of agriculture. The war in Ukraine happened to be a powerhouse for grain production. But when the war started, Ukraine exports also stopped. And Ukraine, being a breadbasket mecca of the world, costs inflation and skyrocketing prices among those that supply this grain. But let's zoom into the Bahamas. Those extra prices are now being compounded onto us when we walk into the grocery stores and we're reaching the cashier and realizing that $50 or $100 that used to have a trolley full of grocery is no longer the case. In fact, you don't need a trolley, you can fit that in a carry-out bag. And all of this is because of one simple thing: food insecurity, farm production, and the lack thereof. We are impacted by these global forces. In addition to these challenges with the war in Ukraine, the Bahamas is in a hurricane belt. So let's say Mr. Nigel Lewis had a 100-acre farm in Abaco, and he grows all the cash crops: lettuce, tomatoes, cabbage.
And rose.
Unfortunately, one Dorian can wipe out entire harvests and disrupt that production for years. That was the case for my father-in-law and grandma. He had a poultry farm, and Dorian wiped them out. One hurricane, one day, one too many farms taken all away. And a lot of these farms have not been able to recover. We need to build Dorian-proof farms. Our situation in the Bahamas is much different than those from around the world. And we have to take food security more important. And so this is where we are today. One of the solutions that we've been proposing and we're breaking ground is in the Gladstone Road Metro, where we're building a 90,000 square foot indoor facility to grow over 2 million pounds of produce every single year. By doing this, we're growing in a controlled environment. We're growing in a way that we're using 97% less water than traditional agriculture. There's no need for the pesticides that we now need to wash off from the imported stuff. And we're growing 3 times faster with the yields, all in this one controlled environment. Food security is truly national security. And in order for the Bahamas to really pivot and move forward to where the world is going, we need to take agriculture more seriously. Our farmers throughout the Bahamas need help. Our farmers need support. Our farmers need funding and more access to land. And COVID-19 has reminded us that we urgently need to build recovery plans for food security. We have to reimagine agriculture in the Bahamas. We have to reinvent the traditional farming methods and systems that we're accustomed to. We have to rediscover the talent of botanists and plant scientists that have gone abroad with their skills and bring them back home. We have to redefine what a farmer is and how a farmer looks. In the future, we will have to grow more while using less. We must change our country one vegetable at a time, and this is what is needed for the future of farming. Over the next 15 years, this is going to be one of the most critical global challenges of our generation. We need to grow significantly more food, using significantly less land, less water, less waste, less resources, and we have to revert back to Eden, the Genesis. This means that by the time my 2-year-old son and 1-year-old daughter is around my age, they will be facing the issues that we don't face head on today. And this is why I do it. This is why you was created. Because you're only as good as what you put in you. Thank you so much. Any questions? Come on.
Yes, excellent presentation.
Thank you.
One of the things I'm old enough to remember, both governments failed farmers. And they failed them for many years. Each island at one time was responsible for a product. Luther was pineapples, Exuma was onions, Andrews, watermelons, and so forth. When the farmer takes his product to these packing houses, governments telling them how much to bring and the rest they discard and throw away. There's no incentive from governments, both governments, to farmers. And the thing is, farmers was losing, and eventually they got out of farming and went into other industries. The thing is, we need to incentivize farmers, and we need to ensure that at the end of the day, there's food security as you suggested.
Great.
But the thing is, I believe government needs to get out of trying to control farming and a lot of these other industries that have been around for quite some time, and allow private persons to market, export, and allow the farmers to grow. You cannot feed yourself when you box yourself in, and the governments have done that to the farmers.
Great, very, very good point. A lot of the farmers struggle with getting their product to market. It's truly been a challenge. If you listen to farmers in the islands, Andros, Ken Island, and all around, a lot of farmers are depressed with the state of affairs in the agricultural industry in the Bahamas. And so I think that more does need to be done to incentivize it. And I think, again, COVID-19 and some of these other things really highlighted the need to put a focus on agriculture.
Even getting the land from the farmer, from government, was a pain for farmers. So, the thing is, farming in the Bahamas have been very difficult for farmers.
So, I think everybody's probably with me in terms of people don't want to eat the lettuce that's 35 days old. So how do we, can we go to Airport Industrial Park and say, hey, I need a head of lettuce? Or how do we get this fresher food on our plate?
Yeah, so yes, you could do that, but there's a lot of farms and a lot of farmers that are producing. You have the Blue Fields, you have the Chickcharney farms, you have the Lucayan Tropical. They actually have a consistent flow of produce that people can buy. It's really just looking for them and giving them the opportunity, taking advantage of farmers markets, and really being intentional about buying from the local farmers, because you know where it's coming from. Yeah. Sorry.
Good evening to all. Acknowledgements to has been established, so I don't think I have to go through that process. Having been exposed to a little farming through the Bahamas Development Bank, I think you overlook one element that is a threat to farmers, and that is of cold fronts coming through the Bahamas. Like you can lose a whole crop because of a cold front. So that cold front, I know that was so it's Abaco, and I assume Grand Bahama, because they are the same areas. But also, we spoke about growing the lettuce, and they had those experiences with onions, added with tomatoes and stuff like farmers growing things. The hotels and stuff at one point wanted to take those things from the farmers. However, the quality of the stuff that comes out, the size of it is not dependent. They cannot depend on getting the same quality, and then sometimes they want the stuff, and they would ask the farmers for it. They said they don't want it.
Yeah.
So at the time, we were trying to encourage them to reduce their imports. They said, what do they do when they call these farmers and say they can't produce it? The other thing in relation to that is that I don't know what is the difference of cost between what you're selling it for and what the stores are selling it for. But again, the farmers prior, they would come into the Super Value or any place else, observe the price, and they want the same price.
Right.
And that's the experience that I've had with the farming. Yeah. So,
great.
How do we get your product?
Great point. So our price point is half of what you're seeing in the food store. And the reason that we can do that is because you're getting your product 3 miles from the farm versus, the import aspect of it. As it pertains to farmers trying to get their produce into hotels and things of that nature, you're right. A lot of hotels complain that the reason they don't always purchase from the local farmers is because of consistency and then quality. So, some hotels may complain. We sat with one in particular. They want to ensure that every single day or every single week or every single month, that if they say they need 10,000 pounds of lettuce or tomatoes, that you can do that no matter what happens, and no excuses. Or else they got to go to Cisco because their clientele is expecting that whatever they order from their menu, they get. And so regardless if it's coming from Cisco or a local farmer, they want to ensure that they get it. In terms of the cold front, yes, there's a current farm in the west that's having that issue right now with their lettuce. Because of the cold, they've been having some issues. And then I think your last point was, I think that's it. But one good thing that the government didn't, I think there was a policy put in place where 60% of everything, 40% of everything that hotels and cruise ships purchase must come from local farmers, and 75% of everything that the government purchase must come from local farmers. Now, it was a policy put in, I wouldn't say it's a policy, it was a policy put in place, because policy in place. Who's monitoring 60%? So that's the aspect where I think it's since fallen down. Yeah.
I just wanted to find out, do your products have your name on it in the farm, in the supermarket?
So right now, we're in the wholesale market. We're supplying to some of the hotels and local restaurants, but we also, with the NACUS facility, you'll be able to get that label in food store.
It's now in food store?
No, you can come to our farm and you'll be able to get it. Airport Industrial Park, near Blue Water.
Okay.
Near where? Blue. I have some brochures, I'll give you at the end. Mr. Clare.
During the last administration, right, when I had a blue platform and I always voiced my opinion, I always stressed that fisheries and agriculture was underappreciated by all governments. And I went back as far as Finley, because I've been in the tourist business all my life, and we did everything we could do in terms of bringing the product to what it is today. And even today, if you turn on the news right now, somebody is advocating, and they are talking about the 7 million or 8 million tourists that we are actually heading towards.
Yep.
But you know what I always say? The 7 or 8 million tourists are going to come in no matter what. The sun and the sea, right? The marketing helps, but because you got that product, because you got the natural, more advanced than the other Caribbean islands because of our position, geography-wise, we can get ourselves a million tourists. But we neglect to focus on farming.
Yeah.
Okay? And I always say, along with the tourism product, whoever empowered now, any government, their job is to man that money. The tourist is coming. So whether it's Chester Cooper or somebody from last year, that ain't gonna stop the 7 million tourists from coming. Man the money, and then when you get the money, put it towards agriculture and fisheries. And that's where we are. And I've just asked you a couple of questions that I was about to ask, and I will segue to how difficult for you and your team now getting your product in the stores. You see, in terms of like you would need encouragement. You would need actual on the ground them believing in your product.
So, and I say this humbly, I think generally the market has been very receptive, and I think the reason for that is consistency and then quality. Because we can provide a consistent product because of our growing conditions. We control the growing conditions, and so we can say that at the end of the week, if we say we give you 1,000 heads, you will get 1,000 heads because we have control over that. So generally, it's been pretty receptive. We've met with Atlantis and the Bahamas, and it's been pretty good. But you need more than us to really make a dent in the agricultural industry. And so that's something that we continuously preach. You need 100 of Eden Farms to really tackle this head on. And not just in produce, right? You got poultry, you got fisheries, and so many other layers and complexities of the agricultural system.
One last question. The last administration, right, we were very friendly in terms of young entrepreneurs, people expanding. So far, we are like 1 year into the new administration. Do you see any light with that in terms of them continuing our program along your peers? What are your peers saying to you in terms of how difficult it is for these guys to say, well, I believe in this product, or this group of young men comes, or someone comes.
You speaking specifically to us? To us?
No, I'm talking about what your peers are saying relating to the new government. I see some brick walls there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought I would just sort of.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand. Sorry. Mr.
I just
Yes.
You indicate that the hotel's been very receptive to your products, and part of that is to do with quality and quantity when based on their needs. If any of your product in the public system where we have access?
Yes, you can, I'll leave you with a flyer today, and then you could just reach out to either online on our website, or you can call our number and we'll get it to you.
So it would be like a private purchase rather than in the stores?
Correct, because right now we're focused specifically on the wholesale market. So we service one of the major local hotels and some of the restaurants in the corresponding area, but with the construction of our second facility, we'd be able to supply a good bit of the market, the supermarket, and some of the continuing with the hotels.
Now, the hotels are going to pay for what they require, particularly their satisfaction quality. That's hotels. With the same quality in mind, will the public, us, be able to afford your product in food stores?
Definitely. We've done a lot of price analysis, and all of our prices will beat the US prices on the wholesale level and the retail level. We're confident with that. All right, any other, sorry.
I just want to follow up Jeff's comments. Nothing is happening in agriculture under the minister placement. Nothing is happening. Lecturers have left Barmsey in the disarray. My daughter's with them and she just resigned. I see you short. She said, Daddy, nothing's happening. I'm tired of propping her up and trying to keep engaged. She's gone. She has a master's in agriculture.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Eden Farm. Thank you so much, Lincoln Deal. Did you bring any of the produce? Yeah. Next meeting? He didn't bring any of the produce for us, so we can't sample the strawberries and the lettuce and the tomatoes that he spoke about, but excellent presentation on food. Let's start with the backyard farm. How, Lincoln, tell me about that backyard farm. Should I continue or should I get a hydroponic?
No, don't get a container. No, don't get a container.
Because you use less water with the container.
No, we supply on a commercial level, but on an individual level, every single person in here should be growing something in their backyard. Whether you get your lettuce from your backyard, you use that on your tables, tomatoes or whatever it is. I know Ms. Menace has a garden, and anyone, everyone else, oh shit. You know, a little something. But everyone can plant and grow something in their yard that they can consume. You don't need containers or all this fancy technology.
All right, Lincoln also have 2 giveaways, and come Lincoln, you have to ask questions.
Madam Chairman,
Thank you. Our last presentation this evening is going to be done by Mr. Ken Donovan, and his topic this evening is money. Who wants more money? We all want more. We all want more money. We all want more money. So, coming now to present is Mr. Jonathan on financial planning for now and the future. And so he's going to tell us how we can get plenty money before we leave this building tonight.
Good evening. Protocol having been established, time constraints. Don't worry, most of the people in the room know. So I'm going to jump right into it. Everybody wants more money, right? Yeah?
Yes.
Good. Are you prepared to make the changes necessary? That's where it always breaks down. So I'm going to jump right into my presentation. Financial planning, individual financial planning. Individual financial planning basically begins with a budget preparation. And that's like a curse word. They don't want to believe it. See, the lady shaking their head. The Indians in particular, they do not want to believe that they have to live on a budget in order to better themselves or change their financial position. It's like the gentleman who presented earlier about financial fitness. And nobody wants to go through the rigors of changing habits. And that's what a budget does for you. It forces you to look at where you are now. What's your spending habits? What do you need to change? The ultimate end goal of a budget is to review your revenue versus your expenses. And hopefully at the end of the day, to have a net surplus after you've paid for all the things you need to live on. And so basically your personal budget cash flow is revenue minus expenses equals discretionary cash flow. And that is the thing that most people need, is discretionary cash flow. This is what's left after you've taken your expenses away from your revenue. Discretionary cash flow allows you to do other things. And that's another decision the Indians must make. When I have this surplus, hopefully it is a surplus, if it isn't, then we need to go back and review some of this other formula in terms of, do I need to cut down on some of my expenses? However, getting to the discretionary cash flow, assuming that there's a positive discretionary cash flow, the next decision is, what do I do with this cash? Now, there's a couple of options. You can consume it. You know, the old adage, Bahamians, I'm going to take this cash that I have over and I'm going to love myself. That's one thing you can do. You can use love to love yourself. Or there's a passive allocation. I'll just put it in the bank, in the savings account. That's a traditional way. Let me just put it in the bank because I was taught to get a savings account and just build it up and leave it there. Guess what? The banks are paying. Correct? The next alternative is an investment strategy. Your goal here in an investment strategy is to try and multiply that cash flow. Realistically, you're going to probably find that you're gonna have an allocation in between the 3 days. The last part of a financial plan is a personal statement. This is your balance sheet, snapshot, where you are at your stage in your life, what are your assets, what are your liabilities, and the net of this is what is my net worth today. And every individual's goal is to build their net worth. I'd like to take the time now just to look at the investment strategy or using an active investment strategy. It begins with the purchase of financial assets, and this is the beginning of building a portfolio. Decisions have to be made in your portfolio in terms of what it is I want, what are my interests, what stock, what companies, what do I want to invest in? There are primarily 4 major classes of financial investment products. Cash. That is where you still put it in the bank, maybe a CD, and so forth like that. And some people do actually go on cash. And it's a part of a portfolio. You do need a percentage of your portfolio to be in cash. Rainy day, emergency happen, so forth like that. Real estate. And by real estate, I know most people think buying a property, buying a home, and so forth like that. But there are other aspects of real estate investment, such as REITs. Does anybody know what a REIT is?
Real estate investment.
Real estate investment trust, right? Basically, what you are doing is a company would get properties, maybe income-producing properties, and they would bundle those properties and offer that as an investment to the public. You get to participate in the income earnings of those properties. It's called a REIT. So when I say real estate is a little bit more encompassing than just buying a property, buying a home. Okay? Equities, buying a stock in a company. I was just chomping at the bits. There's a gentleman from Eden. Did he leave? No, he's right there. Bingo. Here it is. He said some of the challenges facing the farmers, land, so forth and so forth. What's the next thing? Funding. Yes? The young lady here, Miss Barnett, said, I don't want to eat 35-year-old lettuce or something like that. Now, I challenge you with behaviors. He said we got a food crisis here and so forth like that. If Mr. Eden was to come to the local market with a stock offer, would you support it? Or any other farm? Just behaviors we all say, this is what we want and so forth. Would you buy shares in this company? See, you know, but this is what stocks is about. Buying shares in a company.
Just don't do
you
it.
You participate in earnings of the company, maybe through dividends and so forth. The last one, last major category, fixed income. This is your bonds. All right, this is where you loan money at a contractual agreed term, and you get money back. The most notable form of a fixed interest security in our market today is government bonds. Yes? So what you're doing when you lend, give your money to the government, is you're helping them fund their deficit, their expenses. Okay? Now, don't say that. No. Now the government is never, ever defaulted on an interest payment or a repayment. So y'all stop that. The government is, whatever the rating agency says, the government is never defaulted on a repayment of interest or principal. Now, some of the basic things that you're going to have to, that's going to impact your decision in terms of how you spread your disposable income or discretionary income. Certain things such as age, where you are in your cycle, in your life cycle, and what is the risk you are willing to take. Traditional portfolio management normally assumes, in terms of trying to find a blend between what you should invest in, stocks versus bonds or cash, usually have the rule of thumb of this. Whatever it is, in order to find out how much your equity percentage of your portfolio should be, you take your age away from 100. So, in this example, at age 57, the person who's age 57, the equity investment would be 43% of their total portfolio. And their fixed income would be about 57%. Why? There's a logic to it. At 57 years old, you are now approaching retirement. Yes? Where the traditional income is going away from you in the next couple of years. So what you should be positioning as you go in your lifespan is to move away from the more risky investment, such as equities, because equities depend on dividend declarations and so forth like that, into a predictable income stream that's going to be replacing your salary. Right? I mean, you need to know how much money you're going to get at the end of the month and so forth like that. That's what a fixed income instrument is. Now, so imagine that. You would imagine that this is a 57-year-old individual. So a 25-year-old individual, it'll look a hell of a lot different where equities will make up a larger proportion. Why? They got a longer lifespan in terms of employment. All right, now the next big thing is in determining the portfolio structure, what is the risk I'm going to assume? Individuals have different risk appetites. Some people is like roll it up. See, I work along with that individual in the back there right here. He and I argue every day in terms of how we would structure our portfolio. I am more conservative. Who said cheap? I would be the person who has a percentage in fixed interest, income, a percentage in stock, a percentage in cash. He didn't even put everything in stock. I said, but you don't do that. And me and him go back and forth every day. Our appetites are different. Our risk tolerance is different. Well, so what is said that the whole adage is the higher the risk, the higher the reward. Yes. That's the way it should be. I'm more of a conservative type person. So here you see along here the spectrum, wealth conservation. My portfolio would probably look like 50% equity, fixed income, 85%. Some people are after income, so there's a ratio difference, a balance growth, 50-50 and so forth like that. This is it. Opportunistic growth. Equity 75%, fixed income 25%, and his wife had to probably talk him into buying that fixed income portion.
Why his wife?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, we were just trying to figure out why his wife persuaded him.
Because his risk tolerance is so high.
Very good.
That he needs somebody to pull him up. So, just to give you a flavor of if you invested some money, what's the return you can expect? Investing in bonds or fixed income. If you invested $100 per week, average investment rate of return on bonds right up and down is about 5%. Over 10 years, you will get back about $67,591. which is about a 30% return. Investing in equities, which is a riskier type investment security. $100 a week, the average return on the stock market has been about 10%. So you're going to get about $89,487. So again, that's why he may invest a lot more of his money or his discretionary income in equity than I would. Yeah. Personal statement of faith. I alluded to this earlier. This is where, okay, you have a successful investment portfolio and so forth. It's going to translate into your balance sheet or your personal health, financial health. This is where you list all of your assets, that's your liabilities. Hopefully your assets are worth a lot more than your liabilities, so you have a positive net worth. Ultimately, persons are looking to increase their net worth. You see in a lot of instances every year, politicians have to declare their will. This is what they do. This is what they do. And this is something that a lot of people do not even think that they have wealth. I mean, I sit down, I do a little bit of personal financial coaching. I sit with people and I ask them questions. Okay, they know the assets like the cash and so forth and the bonds, but then I ask them, do you have an insurance policy? Do you know the cash surrender value of the insurance policy? Do you know the rate you're paying on your loan? Do you know what you're earning in the bank from the loan? And they have wealth, but they don't realize they have wealth. So having said that, this is my in closing, some of my final 4 things that I would like for people to do. Constantly review and update your budget. That should be ongoing. Your financial position changes. It's constantly changing. Please engage a professional. They're not that costly. And the return that they're going to be able to mine for you is going to be a lot greater than what you're going to have to pay. Last and not least, please, talk about these concepts around the dinner table. Because these things are not taught in school. They're not taught in school. And so long we've been like, children don't know about finance. Well, they'll never know if we never talk about it. And each one of you has a tremendous wealth of experience in terms of financial experience that you're not sharing with the children. But they do not teach it in school. That's it. Any questions? Thank you. Somebody gonna have a question.
The professional assistant, such as a financial coach, a coach advisor, what is the cost, starting cost of someone with minimum wage and wants to elevate to get to
It really is. Let's just say, if you are a coach in the vicinity of $500 a year, which translates to $40 a month. Now, what that means is you're going to love yourself a little less in that month, but you have a financial coach. What they bring to you, obviously they will have other clients. They bring a wealth of knowledge, other people's experiences to you that you can avail yourself. Yes.
Let's say that you have a couple that's in their early 40s.
Yeah.
The wife is working and the husband stays home with children.
Okay.
It happens today.
You got my curiosity. That was the
And the wife makes $50,000-$60,000 a year.
Okay.
How do this couple in that age bracket, how do they look forward? What do they do to look forward to a retirement in 25 years?
Doug, there's so many scenarios that we sort of, I mean, the
Best case scenario.
husband is at home.
Best case scenario. Everybody else.
How many children? They got college funds they got to look through. They need to make some changes. They need to make some changes. That's the bottom line. At that rate, when they retire from the age, they can be dependent on NID. Now, while the husband is home, he can have an at-home business doing something. So those are the changes. It's not static. That doesn't have to remain static if the husband is home, doing nothing, just minding the children. He can start an at-home business. So that their income, their revenue portion of their cash flow changes, because now he can devote a couple of hours a day to any business that he can do at home and minding the children. But just on that static scenario that you're talking about, they can be living on NID. I don't lie to you.
I would think that it depends on that husband or any problem. It's the ability to learn.
Yes.
You could be a stay-home dad, but you don't have the ability to learn anything. So you are more like a liability.
I don't say that because the woman can make some changes. Yes, there are so many things that can be spun off. But definitely, they need to start making some changes.
Because if you have the potential to learn, and you say I'm going to take a 5-year period and just be stay-home dad, you could catch up in the next 5 years.
Agreed.
But you see, the danger is that you don't have that potential, and you have to have any power less. That could be a problem.
But definitely, his scenario dictates that they talk about it and make some changes.
Yes.
If nothing else. And get a financial coach. Yes, sir.
What's your advice on raising cryptocurrency?
I knew I wasn't going to get from this movie in particular. Again, I go back to the asset allocation and the choices individuals can make. That's an individual choice. I have my own personal views about digital assets, but I'm not going to say it here tonight. Because again, I may have a client, he wants to be a digital asset, I'm not going to tell him no. I mean, again, that's that whole thing about risk, reward, which you think I will give you suggestions and so forth based upon where you are in your financial life cycle. But I'm not going to push my views of digital assets or cryptocurrencies.
But the industry has so much potential before it has happened. The question I think you want to ask is, like when you talk to your peers now in the financial world, right? I believe now that people they're put on a back burner and they are less inclined to invest. You mean in digital assets? No, generally speaking, I think people are less inclined. Because I would put no money in nothing like that. Whereas, like, 6 months ago, it was so lucrative, you know, everybody wanted a piece of it.
I call that the knee-jerk reaction. There are a lot of people like that. Hey, I'm having a look. But again, markets have been through that knee-jerk reaction.
I think we're seeing that, we think it'll survive, we think it'll go full circle, and say by next year this time, people will be a little more inclined, after some positive action there.
A little bit more inclined
To
participate in
start to participate.
Yes, it's already beginning to happen.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Serious, okay.
Yes, it's already beginning to happen.
Yeah, I'm a little leery of that.
And rightfully so, but what it should tell you is you should do a little bit more analysis and so forth. My personal feeling is a lot of people, you've heard the concept, the herd mentality, or I don't want to get left out mentality.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I think a lot of that plays into the digital asset market without people doing really some research and
Last but not least, the Ford project was coming on stream. That seemed to be pretty solid for those who invest some money so far.
Which one?
The Nassau Port, the cruise port. General idea. I mean, I think,
based upon what I've read about it, it's a solid project.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you asked me that, because a lot of people will look at me and ask me, Ken, do you think this is a good investment?
A lot of people don't invest in it already.
But I always ask them that, I always answer them and say, the project itself may be a good investment, but is it the right investment?
Yeah, but I mean, once, just say you dump 1,000, or say 5,000, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, right? If you drop $5,000, right, you know, it'll pay for itself because of the potential of that business. I mean, you know, we talked about the 87 million euros a while ago, right?
Right.
So that's very positive.
Yeah, no,
And
definitely.
for new investors, I think that's what we go do.
And I'm glad you
Drop
brought that up.
$3,000 there, just leave it.
Right, equity investment sometimes takes time. It's not instantaneous return. Again, you have that ability to double that 5,000 in base. Somebody else may not have that same. May not do the same financial stage. So that's why I pose the question, is it the right investment? Folks, any more questions?
Excellent presentation. I thought you were going to give us some money tonight, but obviously you didn't. You gave me money. Okay, you gave me money's worth. Okay. We have 2 gifts to give away, and I have 2 questions that I'm going to ask. And the first person that gets my attention, and you give me an answer, the gift is yours. How many days does it take for vegetables to be exported to the Bahamas?
From where?
Pardon me?
From where?
I didn't hear.
35 days.
You heard 35 days? 25 days. Boy, I really don't want to give you this gift, Miss Deal, and it hurts my heart. Come and get the gift, please. Yes, you get a bottle of red wine. It's good for this time of the year. Keeps your body warm. Yes. And the second question is, what is the name? It's a 2-part question. What is the name of the fitness speaker? And where can you find him to work out? Stand up, Senator. Wow. Is she a customer? She is? Boy, come and get your gift.
Can I fit in the problem?
It's another bottle of red wine.
With my glass.
Thank you all very much for coming, and come on, Dr. Minnis, and then we're going to do our presentations, and we'll be out of here. Come, Dr. Minnis. Give us.
very much. First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming out. I want to thank especially the presenters. We chose these three topics because we thought they were interwoven, intertwining together, and that we're now experiencing increased cost of living, inflation, etc. And when you tie the three together, each one has a deflationary impact on one's income. You look at exercises, you don't exercise, only healthy, etc. And obviously that affects the health affected, that affects the institution, the health institution, etc. And therefore it costs, it's an added expense to you in terms of taking care of yourself. So exercise obviously is an incentive in terms of decreasing the inflation that we experience today. The food again is important, that's tied in also. As you know, the farmers had great difficulty in reaching the hotels and cruise ships, etc., because you must have quality and continuity, and that could not be provided. We know that Eden Farm provides that to decrease the chemicals would help with exercise and healthy living, decrease your cost of living, etc. And at the same time, Eden Farm is basically, that type of product is basically hurricane resistant, and behind hurricane belt, your entire industry can be destroyed. However, this method was not. We had moved towards home importing in terms of cruise ship. One of the challenges we had faced was we did not have sufficient food for the ships. The ships had to subsequently import the food or bring their foods via container. Because that was new to us, there were challenges with Ministry of Finance, and they subsequently wanted the cruise ship, knowing that all the foods that were brought in would be taken out. They're not staying here. But still they had the challenge of paying duty. So you can imagine a cruise ship paying hundreds of thousands of dollars of duty just for food to be landed to immediately be taken out. And that was a problem that we faced. And we were bringing in what you call, just like we have the hotel in Center Park, we were bringing the cruise ship in Center Park so as to get around that. But institutions like Eden Farm would help with that because they can go year round. Weather don't affect them because it's all controlled. They're not exposed to all the chemicals that we have in land-based agricultural products, and therefore you have healthy individuals. And at the same time, you already have a policy in place with respect to the hotels. But the cruise ships have made commitments repeatedly that once the Bahamas can provide the food quality, they will be more than happy to purchase. This is a great outlet for institutions like Eden Farm, because now, if you had home porting and even the hotels, you can have production continuously, and that would help create wealth, etc., and help with the inflationary problems. So all three are intertwined. Then, of course, he spoke about savings, which you do in terms of inflation. So the three of them are intertwined, and it's essential that we understand that and start your backyard farming with your chemicals, and it has its benefits as well as its disadvantages. Hydroponics are very good, especially vertical hydroponics, but as was stated, it's somewhat expensive, but in the long run, it's extremely beneficial. So again, I thank you all for coming out, and a lot more people want to come, but we have two very important meetings going on tonight. Tonight, in the Love Beach area, there's a very important meeting with respect to development. 7, 8-story building within our constituency, and therefore more than half of the residents were going to that to express their views and have their voices heard. Unfortunately, this is my first meeting, and therefore I could not attend. However, my voice and my views are there. So again, thank you very much, and may God bless you all. Okay. Oh, and I'm being asked to present to you the evening apples cider, they don't give you wine.
Councilor, you have a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
After the presentation.
Okay.
After around there, giving you healthy eating too. And they are keeping you with cider also, although they say red wine is good for you, but before you leave now, I'm gonna ask one question, all right? What do I do to look like you? Lincoln? Thank you. I don't know where the grapes came from, South America. But in any event, you would know how to wash the chemicals off. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Dr. Oh, okay, Dr. Lewis.
I have a question, sir. Well, first of all, I came to ask this one question primarily, but I'm happy that I did because your presentations were excellent. You're probably aware that there's a lot, they're taking down a lot of the foliage on JFK along the side of the lake. And for those of us who live on Lakeshore Drive, all of our backyards are still lit. And my question is, why are they creating such visibility of all of those homes from the JFK side? Because they served a purpose for us in the use of our backyards. In that people driving by and having an activity is not necessarily exposed to what's going on out there. In addition to which, I heard something about one of the reasons may be that they want people to see that we have enough accidents on JFK routinely. We don't need people looking at the lake driving on JFK. So, do you know why that is happening?
No, unfortunately, I don't know the answer to the question. I only know what I've seen on TV when Leslie Miller was saying he was cleaning up some of the lake areas, etc. And when I drove this morning, heading in to buy my patty eating around, I saw workers between the clearing area. I didn't see Miller, but I was informed that that's what he's doing. So I'll have to check into that. Exactly what that is. But to answer your question, no.
Environmentally sound, and the reality is it's not safe. People speed on JFK. If all the foliage is cut down and they decide I'm going to look at the lake, that's another accident. Yeah, it is. So is there anything that who should be approached or?
No, I'll find out for you. I have my personal view and ideas, but no facts to it, therefore I can't give that.
Okay, so you'll be able to let us know at another point. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaplain. Let's close this out in prayer, and there are refreshments at the back. Feel free to enjoy.